A literature review is the first step in any kind of scientific inquiry, really. It's a chance to find out a little bit about what's already known about your topic and what are some different types of um, resources that are available to help inform you about the background information as well as guide future decisions you might make, such as what variables you want to test. Um, Essentially, it's a way to find out what's already known. And one of the best ways to do that is through the use of a database. Now, we've all done internet research before, and most of us are able to use kind of common sense to figure out a credible source from a non-credible source. But when we do an internet search, like a Google search, it's going to pull up pretty much anything. And so if you were to put in a topic, you don't always necessarily know if the person providing that information is an expert or if it's credible material. So one of the greatest things that most libraries, public libraries or university or college libraries like at Front Range do is they have these databases that are a compilation of a lot of different peer-reviewed sources. So a peer-reviewed source means that people who are experts, who are peers of whoever's writing this information, is actually looking at it and evaluating it for accuracy, maybe contributing to it as well. And so these might take the form of magazine or journal articles for a particular profession. But a database can also be just a warehouse, kind of a clearinghouse of different information, like encyclopedia articles and things like that. So if you haven't already used a research database before, I'm just going to walk you through those steps. If you have, you can ignore this. But Front Range Community College has a database, has multiple databases, and I've gone ahead and included that in the link there. But we can find this by just going to the libraries and then going under research and research databases. And you log in using your student ID number, your S number. There's a lot of different types of databases. There are some that are just for legal research or history or science. I think a good place for us to start today, if you're just exploring your chosen topic in horticulture, might be the Science Reference Center. But EBSCO is just a huge database area, and I can show you different ways to kind of break down and further explore those information. So I'm just going to click on one of these, and I'll put in my S number, and it's going to let me choose the different databases that I want to explore. So for now, let's just select all because we can always narrow down our search. Slow response time. Let's actually go ahead and start with let's just do Science Reference Center for now. So I'm going to put in my search term, and let's say that I want to research like our sample paper that I provided, mycorrhiza. And if I were to put mycorrhiza into a general search in the internet, it might come back with a lot of different results that aren't necessarily scientific. But I can actually select different options. So let's start out with just a really vague search on mycorrhiza and see how many titles come back to me. So within this particular database, now remember I'm just searching the scientific research one, I've got 30 results. And I can go through each of these, but maybe I just want to know how it relates to plant growth. So I can select that field, and I can also even select another topic. I could narrow it down even further, how it affects dicots or how it might affect nutrient uptake. But let's see if that narrows it down too much or not enough. So that comes back, okay, here's some three articles that look fairly interesting. If I want to look at one of these, now some of them might be very specific. Actually, all three of these look pretty specific. Let's check this one. So this result, it's going to give me the actual article, and it's going to give me the abstract. And an abstract is kind of like a little bit about what your introduction will look like in your research paper, where it's just giving you a really brief synopsis of what this article contains. If it was a particular experiment, it might include the methodology. It wouldn't give you a general idea. It wouldn't give you the specifics. But to get the specifics, whoops, I went the wrong way. You can actually click on this full text to be able to read that article. A couple of cool things about a database that I love: you can email this article to yourself, you can save it, you can export it if you have like a Google Drive, for example, where you're collecting all of your research information, which is a good idea. One of my favorites is the citation tool. I can click on Cite because one of the things we have to do is include a works cited information. Is I can actually, it gives me all these options of all these different styles. Some of you might be very familiar with MLA. This is very typical in Citation you might have used in high school for your English papers. Typically in scientific text, we use APA. So I can actually just like copy this, bam, and it's already got it using that particular style. Now where we're collecting this data is going to be in our literature review form. And so under here, after I've kind of explored what topic I'm going to research and then the specific question I'd like to investigate. So here it might be mycorrhiza or symbiotic relationships or mutual relationships or soil microorganisms. My question might be how would the addition of mycorrhiza to soils help plant growth? And then I would plug in any of those search terms I use, for example, the mycorrhiza and the plant growth. Under here, I'm going to copy and paste my source. And then under here, I'm going to write some general information. So I might explain a little bit about their topic, what they specifically looked at. In this case, it looked like just the P, the phosphorus. Or I could even copy the whole abstract so that I remembered what the article is about. But so that information will go here. And right over here, I might actually look at data. I might look at quotes. Did they specifically say from their results that in this particular experiment, the presence of this mycorrhizal fungi showed 20% increase or uptake in phosphorus. So this is the kind of information that will eventually be really helpful to me when I'm going to write my paper, because in our paper, in our introduction, we're mostly going to be talking about, hey, what am I pursuing, and what is some background information that might tell me a little bit more about this topic. And that could belong both in my introduction or possibly down here in my background information. I ask that you do cite 3 credible sources for the literature review, and then the expectation for your paper is that you, let's go see what your expectation is that you use at least 2 sources, I believe, in your paper. So 2 sources that you quote or reference in the conclusion of your paper. So that is a little bit more about how you use a database. If you have any other questions about how to use these, I can certainly be a resource, and so can our librarians. We have some great librarians on our campus that you can also reach virtually for those of you that aren't on campus. There's some different ways that you can get some help, and there's some tutorial videos here as well in terms of how to effectively use research databases. So hopefully this is something you've done before, and if not, it's a wonderful skill to have in life in general, being able to look up credible sources of information.